Do plants have feelings? This is a beautiful question, because everybody should take a look at the book, The Secret Life of Plants. Okay, this book is written in like the 70s or something. It's amazing. It is loaded with scientific data from a myriad of experiments done by scientists under scientific conditions where philodendrons and various plants were hooked up to lie detectors, and amazing tests were done. Like, for instance, the scientist would stand there and he'd pull out a lighter and he'd start approaching the plant, and the polygraph would go nuts, right? And it's like, okay, what's happening here? And then the scientist would think about taking out the lighter, and the polygraph goes nuts. What's happening here, right? So they started to realize that plants became super attached to their owners, their masters, their cultivators, right? And they started to realize that plants develop actually a psychic connection with their gardeners, right? So this is powerful, right? And believe it or not, that psychic connection is not limited by time or space. It's instantaneous, no matter where it is on the globe. So the military and NASA and these different organizations started looking at using plants to instantly communicate information, even to like outer space craft. And now I don't know how far they went with that. I'm sure there's some limitations and whatnot, but an experiment that really comes to my mind is where in a similar circumstance, the owner of the plant decided that he would go down to Times Square, and like he would get a response from his plant when he thought about watering it, consistent every time, and a response when he thought about burning it with the lighter, consistent every time, right? So he went down in the middle of Times Square, New Year's Eve. There's like, a million people down there. He did the same experiment. The plants responded the same way. He flew to Tokyo, same experiment. Plants performed the same way at the exact same times. So the plants are connected. This is scientifically proven. Anybody can look up this old book, The Secret Life of Plants, and have your eyes open to a whole new world. There's even experiments where they had like heads of lettuce and like 10 people in lab coats, right? And the guy goes in, takes a head of lettuce, chops it up, and all the other heads of lettuce go nuts, right? They're all living heads hooked up, right? They all freak out, right? So they leave the room, right? One person comes back in a lab coat. It's not the person who did the murder, right? And the lettuce don't react, right? So then another person comes back in the room, lettuce don't react. The guy who did the deed comes back in the room with, all the plants react. So they don't have eyes, right? They don't have a mouth, they don't have ears. We think, oh, they don't really move that much. They must be non-sentient beings. Well, it's not true, right? They're far more advanced and powerful and, protectors of the planet than we realize. And we're talking about lettuce here. Like, imagine plants that produce like fruit, flowers. Like, honestly, I grow so many plants. I'm the garden sage, right? But when I grow cannabis, I'm like laying in my bed at night, right? Of course, my lights are on at night, right? And I'm laying there, and they're like telling me what they'd like to have for food next time. And I've got to be like, okay, I get it, I love you too. We're good, and just, tell them to be quiet and leave me alone so I can get some sleep. I know that sounds weird, but like growing plants is one of the most powerful human activities we can do, right? And the more you engage in it, the more it's going to warm your heart and open your heart as a human being. And cannabis to me is honestly the most intelligent of all plants I've grown. And on my property, I probably have 100 different species of plants. There's some other powerful ones out there, like my fig trees. They're pretty interactive, but cannabis is right up there as one of the greatest rewarding plants of the planet.